Okay, so yes, this is, what's today's date? Today is April
The 9th.
The 9th.
Thank you. I'm losing. I've got 3 kids and they're still in my brain cells. Yes, so today's April the 9th. Welcome to the $1 Million Mastermind. I'm so glad that you guys are joining us this evening. And I want to just start by hearing a little bit of your amazing, awesome news. So who said that they wanted to jump in first and share what is happening in their world that is awesome?
Doris.
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 I must share. Because I really don't believe I would have done this. I have not been in this mastermind group. I think the accountability is fascinating. This weekend, I conducted a pilot program of my new national program called Declare Yourself Fabulous.
Woo!
And Declare Yourself Fabulous is a development and coaching program for women. And has 3 outcomes. 1, know and enjoy who you are and what you are and your purpose. Consciously expand your possibilities and execute your plan to get what you want. And the program has 3 modules. 1 is date yourself. The second is kick up your etiquette power a notch. The third is manage your energy. And the 4th is your plan to declare yourself fabulous. I wanted 10 people, and I had 10 people. And the thing that is so fabulous, at one point during the week, I got to a point where I didn't see how it was going to happen. And I called David, and he brainstormed with me. I did exactly what we came up with, and I had 10 people in my house for this pilot. It was wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. And I did a feedback sheet. I had them sign up so that I could use video. I hired somebody to do video, to do stills. And they came back and they said that it was the best that they've been to in a while. The good things were the exercises to declare themselves fabulous, sharing the stories, connecting with other women. And the women were across the spectrum. One woman was retired and one woman was 23. So I had that kind of a gap. They were nurses. One was a doctor, a respiratory therapist, a marketing consultant, a college professor, graduate student, biomedical engineer, high school teacher, and a business consultant.
Excellent.
So it was a fabulous mix. And they said that they appreciated the fact that I created an experience for them, that it was very valuable. The exercise was valuable, that it was revealing to them, that it set a foundation for their journey. They gave me some feedback of what they thought I should do next and who I should present this workshop to. And it was all over the map. Some thought it should be young women. Some thought I should do another one called Declare Yourself Powerful for men. And then they wanted some kind of group where they just keep connecting with other women. So the possibilities that came out of this were amazing. So I'm going to keep this group together. You know, I'll do others, but there's something special about this group, maybe because it's the first one. But I sent them portions of the video. I sent them stills of themselves. I sent them thank you notes. A couple of people said they have contacts for me, so I'm in touch with them. And I'm on the moon.
Yeah. I love it, Doris. Isn't it amazing that you can now call up David Banks? You can call up one of your partners in this thing and say, hey, listen, I just need a little bit of help fleshing some stuff out. I need a couple of ideas. That is awesome.
It was awesome. And David didn't say, call me tomorrow. You know, it was like, well, what time can we talk?
That's right.
So it was like almost immediate.
Nice.
And that was just wonderful. David said to me, did you, who are the people that you really are close to that you should share this with, even if they're not coming? I said, well, there are people that are close. He said, well, what about your pastor? And she's a female. I called her and told her, and she was like, oh, no, I can't come, but I'm praying for you. And she sent me some stuff. I mean, it's just been a really high week.
Yeah.
So I am excited.
Excellent.
And
excellent.
I made money. I made some money.
Look at that. Listen, Listen, that makes it all the more exciting. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, you can feel real good, but then at the end of the night when you have that check or when you see those an extra 0 or 2 or 3 in your account, that's an amazing feeling right there. So
Yeah,
I love it.
deposited the money today.
Listen, awesome. Thanks for sharing, Doris. Anybody else want to share quickly what's going on in your world that's amazing?
I do.
Go ahead, Ursula.
Well, I had an amazing week myself. My legacy wall that I've been talking about and working on for quite a bit of time now actually happened. And what was really unique for me when I look back over my life, it was one of those moments where I was present in the moment. I wasn't second guessing what I should have done, could do, who should be there, who shouldn't be there. It was absolutely perfect. I was able to share the wall with people that were actually on it, and they loved it. I had dreamed that the young people would actually use the wall to learn, and they did it. It was really good. And representatives from the school board were there, and out of the mouth of one of the school board members was, this should be replicated over the entire district. And I said, I'll do that for you, won't you? So it was really good. And I don't necessarily like seeing myself on Facebook, but it blew up this week. I mean, people were posting stuff all over the place, and it was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do it. Someone else is doing it. So I guess it's all right.
Well, it's all right when you do it too, right? It's
Yeah.
okay. Part of this journey is learning that when we have a gift or when we have something to express, sharing it with the world and being confident in that is not a bad thing. Okay. As a matter of fact, we're doing others a favor when we share our gift with them, because a lot of times all of us have this gap. There's a space in all of us that needs to be filled in something that we don't have. There's just something that it requires someone else's gift in order to complete that. All right. And so when you have something like that, that's awesome, amazing to share with the world. Listen, walk in the place and kick the door down. Be like Ursula is here. And here's the thing that I'm passionate about, that I want to share with the world.
It also ended up on the front page of the local community newspaper too.
Wow.
Fabulous.
And
Yes.
full color.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Look at you. I can't wait to see Ursula in 12 months with this thing, man.
Hey.
Okay. Excellent.
We
Thanks
have
for
to
sharing.
say congratulations to Ursula, because the wall is gorgeous. Like, words do not even express how amazing that project really is. And you have to share this with the world. Like, it's a must to share this with the world. Like, we saw it. I was like, wait, huh? That's what she's been talking about?
Yeah. So look at this. Simona's asking, how do we see the wall? How do we see the wall, Ursula?
I'll post it again. It's on the Havilah right now, and it's on my Facebook page. But I'll tell
in our mastermind group.
I guess I could put it here in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
We would love it.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. We have time for one more before we turn over to Ann. One more yay moment.
I'll go.
Okay. Mary.
Sure. I had our tea salon this Sunday, and it was a huge success. The person who we had as our speaker was the first time. She's a master gardener, and she did a piece on mindful gardening. And mindful gardening. And so on my way there, one of the women who normally help us was not able to do it. So I had to pray on it and put myself in the position of saying, this is going to be great. We started off thinking we had 18. We ended up with 24, and we had to turn 2 people away. So it turned out to be a fabulous afternoon. All the women that were there enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to our next tea salon.
Excellent. Excellent. Way to put yourself out there and just rock it. Good stuff.
Yes. And
Good
made
stuff.
some money.
Hey, come on. That's a clap right there. All right. I love it.
Move the needle a little bit.
Yeah. And do you think we got time for one more? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's do it. Let's hear another yay moment. I love yay moments. Monica, go ahead.
Hello. I won the division championship for international speaker for Toastmasters.
Yay!
Good. Good. For your division.
Yes. So there's one more level,
Huge.
district, and then international.
Yeah, that's huge. I don't know if y'all know if other people are not in Toastmasters. I mean, you got to win your club, then you got to win the area, then you've got to win the division, and then I think there's a district after that, and you go to the international after that. So that's like 3 levels up. That's huge. So you've had a lot of competition. That's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Amazing. Good job. Excellent. All right. Cool. So we have been transmuted and reading about a whole lot of different things, and we're waiting to hear what Ann has to say and share with us this week. Ann, what's happening?
Yes, but you can hear me now, right?
We can.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Technology, that's one of my goals. I'm working on that. Well, I am very excited. I've talked to a couple of people kind of online that we're going to be coaching together. So we're looking forward to that, David and Summer and some others. And but these last couple of chapters in preparation for the epilogue. So I will state, now I'm not sure how many of you have the ISBN book we talked about prior, which is the book that has the epilogue in it. Who does not have that book? Because there's, yes, it's the one that Wendy has in her hand. Yes.
I don't have that book.
Okay, Doris, well, we can talk offline, because what we're going to be discussing next week, we're going to go into the epilogue. Okay. And the epilogue, really the back of the book is almost as thick as the front of the book. Okay, we're not going to get to the very end, but I definitely want to get through the 6 ghosts of fear. And I just like to say that on the front end, in case we don't get to say it on the back end in terms of what the expectation is for next week, so that we can look at identifying which fear relates to you and what are some suggestions of how you can overcome that fear. And like we talked, Havila asked a question last week about the ghost of fears. And so next week, I know we're coming to the end, Robert. We have what, 1?
We got 2 more.
Okay, yeah. 2 more, perfect. I think it's very important that we deal with the ghost of fear and do it inside our group, because my fear may be different than your fear and vice versa. And so because we don't have the same fear, there may be some things we can do together to help support each other inside the small group. All right, now with that being said, I am so excited about these last 2 chapters, and I hope that we're all able to see the relationship between the sex transmutation, the brain, and the 6th sense. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, we did read the 6th sense this week, right? So I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about this week about the 6th sense, did anybody really relate to the story that he told about his cabinet? Okay. Now, what I would like to challenge each of you to do is think of who is in your cabinet, right? Now, from rereading this, I also went online and every day listened to the last 2 chapters in addition to reading. And one of the things that came out of this for me, and I'll just make this personal, is that what I ended up deciding to do is I have an annual meeting that I do in January every year, right? And I decided from, we talking about every time we read this chapter, some of us, we talk about Napoleon Hill and why he did that, and it was a great idea and all of that. But this time what I did was I actually wrote down each person, and I'll talk about it inside the small group, each person that he talked about, what was the quality that he liked about each one the most that he put in his cabinet. And if you really think about it, each one of those qualities, for the most part, tied back into the principles and the philosophy, right? He has a certain person about faith, a certain person about persistence, and I'll talk about that more inside the group. But what I've decided to do is to actually create and this is just for me, a virtual cabinet for my life, using these qualities with people who are no longer living, like Dr. Dorothy Heights, like C.J. Walker, like Sojourner Truth, like Frederick Douglass, right? For my life. But what I've also started working on just this week is actually getting a board of directors for my life with skin on them. All right? Who would be my board of directors for my spiritual part of my life, my financial part of my life, my health, my family, that's a given, my recreation, my civic, my creativity. But those areas that really highlight the areas I want to grow in and the areas that I'm weak in. So I figure it may take me about a year really to assemble these people. It's about somewhere between 10 and 15 people. So the virtual one, and then the real live one. See, we're masterminding together, and each of us bring different skills. And as each one of us come on, we find that we learn from each other, right? But what about people right in your immediate area? There may be a lawyer that you know very well that's not going to charge you to really give you advice that you can ask over time, with they either mind masterminding with you or being a part of your board of directors for your life. Now, of course, this is going to be contingent upon you knowing how much money you want. Okay, I have to go back to that. I sound like a not a broken record, but a golden record, right? If you are very clear, and that's what Napoleon Hill was saying, he was able to use his sixth sense and his brain, right, in pulling together this board of directors. And he shared with all of us that at one point he had to stop the meeting. Why? Because he couldn't tell if it was real or a dream, right? And so I want to challenge all of us to think about, and some of us may be board of directors for each other and covering different areas, but how do you get from where you are, after we finish this session and we all go our separate ways, who would you really think about that you can ask? And it may have to be 2 or 3 people to get one to say yes. Would you be willing? And maybe it's not in person, maybe it's on Zoom. If you don't have Zoom, you can open an account and say, okay, I'm going to really give this some thought and think about this. Now, I'm saying that because when you think about the brain, how do you really use, and I want to just read this for those of us that have, it really doesn't matter which, I should say it doesn't matter which version you have, but the first page of chapter 12, right? I'm in the 3rd paragraph if you have the book. And I just want to just read this into your hearing. And it is the opening of the chapter on the brain. Now we know that the brain is a broadcasting and receiving station for thought.
Excuse me.
Yes. Okay, give me 1 second. 1 second. But he goes on to say, in connection with the statement in the preceding chapter, compare and consider the description of your creative imagination as outlined in the discussion on imagination, chapter 5. But the creative imagination is the receiving set of the brain, which processes thoughts released by the brains of others. It is the agency of communication between one's own conscious or reasoning mind and the 4 sources from which one may receive thought stimuli, which is infinite intelligence. Highly energized conscious mind of another person, and the subconscious mind, and the subconscious storehouse of another person. Now, the reason I read that is because this begins to explain to all of us why it is imperative that we read the affirmation. Because we are programming our mind with stimuli that's going to impact positively our imagination to imagine what it is that we want. And I'm sure I'm seeing some smiles on some faces. Why? Because when we are clear, and that's why I keep going back to the money, you don't have to know how you're going to get it. You don't really have to know when, although you say a date. And you don't need to know where it comes from. But when you are clear, your mind, we remember now, a receiving set and a sending set. We're sending out energy. I mean, think about it. We're really nothing but energy. It's just like we talk about, you can walk into a room and you see somebody and you're like, it's just something about that person. I can't put my finger on it. And you can also walk in a room and a person doesn't have to speak and they start walking towards you and you can feel the energy, right? Well, the same thing is true with our brains and our affirmation. And how does it relate to the 6 steps? So I just wanted to just share that because, again, for each of us, the more we activate that imagination, creative imagination as a stimuli, as it relates to that affirmation. I don't know if you use a vision board or if you journal your thoughts in terms of actually visualizing. For some of us, I talked one of my commitments in one of my mastermind groups, and I tipped my head again to you, Doris. I talked about memorizing the self-confidence formula. So the second part that I am on talks about the task of investing 30 minutes a day, right, on the task of thinking about the person that I want to become. Isn't that right? Not thinking about it, and we talked about this last week, and the reason I'm harping on this is because that's nothing but programming my subconscious mind as to who I want to become. How do I want to look? Like most of you know, my hair is cut a certain way. I decided years ago I wanted a haircut like that. Years ago. I mean, literally years ago, right? I'm always wearing red. Why? For some obvious reasons. But I decided that years ago. What's my point? What are we deciding right now we want to look like, feel like, as it relates to creating in your imagination exactly what it is you want as it relates to the money. Now, it's not just all about the money, but I'm not going to go too much further into that. We can do that in a small group. But I just wanted to start off with that board that he talked about and asking each one of you, try it. Think of people that you know virtually. They don't even have to be living, that you would be willing, based upon the characteristics that they have, that you would be willing to make them a part of your board of directors for your life as advisors, but then also think about people with skin on them. Doesn't have to be 10 or 12. It might be, 4 or 5, or maybe you start with 2 or 3, right? So one of my favorite books talks about safety in many counselors. And I think we can also assume that applies for this too. So Robert, that's it for me. Any questions, comments before we break up into the groups? And
I just have to say, Anne, that
yes.
The energy that you project, that you put out. I mean, obviously, I picked up your thoughts last week.
Really?
Because I literally created, because I was thinking about, okay, after this mastermind ends, then in the time in between going from this mastermind into the next mastermind, what are you going to do to keep that momentum going? And so I literally created a new mastermind of living people in this area that we're going to be meeting together on a weekly basis, face to face, to be able to continue masterminding through Thinking We're Rich. So it's like, how do you keep it going instead of letting it fall apart, during that downtime? And so for you to say that, hey, you were putting together that girl, I'm like, oh my God, the energy is so strong, in which, because we're all masterminding, we're picking up everything from each other.
That's my point.
Exactly.
That's my point. But I'm going to challenge you to do this. And again, like I've said this before, and Havilah, where we've been way before this. But what I'm going to challenge you to do, and if anybody else decides to do this, number one, do the whole life. See, now remember, now we come on this call, and out of respect for Black NSA and NSA, I do the very best I can to stay focused only on the speaking. And I don't know if everybody gets a copy of the NSA news magazine, the Speaker magazine, Speaker News, or whatever it's called. If you don't have a copy of the most recent one, go online and download it. It has got to be the best one I have ever received. When I tell you, I I think I may have read 80 to 90% of every single article, but one of the ones I liked the most, because Mark, the meeting we had last week, after the meeting on this call with, I forget her name, but anyway, the question was asked of me about the speaking business. See, the speaking business that we know today is not the same speaking business that we knew even last year. And so when we say we're in the speaking business, what does that mean? Because, and I keep saying this, look at Patricia Fripp and look at a lot of those speakers whose hair is graying. What are they doing? I have a speech that I wrote, What Will You Do When You're 92? Because what I am looking to do is to build a passive income. So when I do my affirmation and I say, you know, and I'm not going to go into it, and I give the amount of money, it was just the amount of money in the very beginning. But as I grew older and I started watching older people, I changed it but one word, and the one word I added behind the money was the word passive. That shifted my entire thinking and everything I began to do, which led me to the area of beginning to do licensing, okay, and online everything. Because again, when you look at, I'm wrapping up, Robert, I promise.
No, you're good.
Okay, but when you look at these older speakers, black or white, I mean, look at Les Brown. I've known Les Brown for 40 years. You know, his health isn't holding up. And I don't care who's listening or whatever, but we're very close friends. But if he don't speak, he don't make any money. Now, other people are making money on him speaking. I mean, not speaking. But my point is, for each of us to come on these calls and participate in this process, what will it look like for you when you're 92?
Right.
Okay. And so I'm coming back to you, Havila. This group that you're talking about pulling together, this right here that we're doing is one area of your life. What about the other 9?
We're actually using the 10 areas of your life form, the constructively speaking form. That's the form we're using.
Awesome. And I say every line on that form came out of my life. 40 years, every single line, from the obituary. And I'm not gonna, I can go. Y'all know I can go. But see, I was in probate court for 15 years without family residence and lost the property.
Wow.
See, we talk about wills, but nobody talks about probate and a trust. And there was no mortgage on the property. That's another story for another day. But my point is this: if we don't learn, and I'm going to say this, Robert, and I'm going to be quiet. For some of you that know my daughter, Ione, the baby billionaire, that's how I got into this, right? I shared about going to NSA with her because she couldn't drive. She was 12. Let me fast forward now. January of last year, she asked me about going to a meeting. And I posted this on Facebook. And for those of you that were a part of the Facebook mastermind group last year, I talked about it. She came to me and she said, I know you're going to these better investing meetings and I want to go tomorrow. You're going to go tomorrow? I said, yes, I'm going tomorrow. And I'm looking like she hasn't been in like 10 years. And why does she all of a sudden want to go? So she said, let me show you. So she goes to her portfolio and she pulls it out and she opens it. Now, we've all seen the time value of money chart. If you started at 19 or 15 or whatever, and you do 4 or 5 years and stop and all that. So she came to me and she opened up her portfolio and she said to me, she said, I just hit $100,000 and I'm not even 30 yet. Okay. This weekend, she came to me and she said, last weekend, she came to me a few days ago and she said, when I was small, you used to take me to the corporate visits to these major corporations. She said, but I've never been to an annual meeting. So I contacted one of the companies that I own stock in, and I want to go to the annual meeting and I have tickets. And if you're interested, Mommy.
Yeah, but I was in the middle of
wait, Doris? Who is that? No, that's Doris. Mary, thank you. So she said, so I got some tickets and I'd like to take you if you'd like to go. Now I'm coming back to the survey. So I said, okay. And I walked away. And then it dawned on me, I turned around and I went back and I said, but go where? Which company is it? Now, Chris McCarran is in our investment club. So Chris, you cannot participate in this question because I told our club yesterday in our investment club meeting. But can anybody, you got one guess to guess what the company was? Where we're going? No.
Is it a
Anybody
construction
else?
company?
No.
Wendy said Google.
No.
Apple.
No. Close. No. No. Close.
Hewlett
Close.
Packard?
No.
Facebook, somebody.
Berkshire. Berkshire.
Berkshire Hathaway.
Berkshire.
Okay.
3 days, 30,000 square foot facility with all of the products of the companies he owns. Now, this is my point. The survey comes out of my life. Every line comes out of my life. So when you think about your family members, do I have to be concerned about taking care of her when I'm 92? I don't think so. I don't think so. Now I'm saying that because we have family. I'm finished, Robert. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm just excited. I'm excited.
No. So that's, I mean, you got to meet with each of the groups anyway, or at least two of them.
Yes.
So that's kind of like the beginning.
Thank you.
Of it. So that I mean.
Well, good, because you're coming to our group anyway, so good.
I don't see anybody complaining. So I think we're good.
I'm excited.
But yeah, so we're going to go into our groups here, and I'm sure Ann, she's fired up, so she's going to start pouring to the first group that she hits tonight. So who was Ann with last week? David's group, and who else? And Susan's group. Okay, so Ann this week is with.
So we don't want to admit.
Avila's group. I know. Avila's group and Wendy's group. Okay, so she's gonna get into, let me put her with Havila first because, yeah, her and Havila together is a firestorm. So I'm gonna put her with you first so that Ann can end with Wendy's group. All right. All right. So listen, this is gonna be. Woo. Yeah. So let's do this. Let's get in to our groups. It is 6:06. I'm gonna get everybody. We're gonna come back in at 6:40. So you have 30 minutes. Is that 30? Yeah. No, that's 34. Okay. You got 34 minutes, and partway through, I'm gonna be popping in the groups to go through your move the needle numbers. So here's what happens. Sometimes I pop in the group and the conversation is juicy and I don't want to interrupt you guys. But if I pop in, just know to wrap up real quick and I can get your numbers and then you can continue on. All right? Yep. Good deal. So is everybody ready to go? Let me hear whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
All right, cool. Just one person. That's okay. Everybody else is on mute. I see the excitement. All right. All right, guys, listen, and you are, let me see if I can get you into the room here. And you are with Havila's group first. And everybody go on and have an awesome mastermind. See you soon.
Uh-oh.
Come on, Demetria. I was like.
Kidding. I think it's about to work. Bye.
All right. Simone, do I not have you in the group? Yep, you should be in room number 2. Oh, there you go.
Woo!
Yeah. So listen, normally, here's what happens, and I'll take you guys behind the scenes really quickly. There's a button that I have that says close all breakout rooms. And when I click it, it says breakout rooms will close in 60 seconds. Normally, when I click it, there are some people that start popping back in at 30 seconds. Some people start popping back in at 40 seconds. This time, nobody came back in until it counted down to 0.
I know, it was like cancel.
No, it just went too fast. We didn't have enough time.
Wow. So
I have to take this.
So somebody said they have to take that. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to mute you for a second. So how was everybody, at least the groups with Ann? Let me ask you first. How was that?
Fantastic.
Heaven.
Yeah, somebody said heaven.
We didn't get in.
So sorry for you.
All right. So what about the other groups that didn't have Ann today? How'd you make out?
Hey, we had a great time. In the winners group, man, we had a great time. Great time.
Yeah. So I popped into a few groups, and there were a couple of groups that had a similar issue, and I just kind of want to throw it out here really quickly. So the thing that was brought up was the idea of faith was a little bit challenging for some people. And it was that, you know, you do the affirmation, but you're still not necessarily believing the affirmation just yet. I'm gonna let you speak, Ann. And so I thought about faith and love as some similar things, right? And when I was a teen, there was this thing that somebody said, "What is love?" And there was a response that said, "Love is a feeling you feel when you feel you're going to get a feeling you never felt before." So a lot of times we're waiting for the feeling. Are you hearing that? With faith and we're waiting for the feeling, and neither is, at least they don't start out as feeling words. So Ann raised her hand. Ann was about to jump out of her chair just now. So I'm gonna let Ann go ahead and respond to that.
You know, I said this, I think on the webinar.
Yeah.
My mother's a holiness minister. 5-6 days a week, we had to be in church. When I graduated high school, I said, I never want to go back again. I'm just being honest. But it wasn't until I picked up this book that my faith grew and my spirit and hunger for the word grew. And when I look at and began to connect the infinite intelligence, see, let me say this too. Andrew Carnegie was a staunch Christian. When Napoleon Hill first wrote this book, there was so much Christ in the book. The book wouldn't sell. He had to take the Christ out and leave the spirit. And you can feel that in certain areas when you read the book. But this is just my own personal sharing. The infinite intelligence section of the book helped me to better understand the faith section. And in the beginning, especially with some friends I have that are highly spiritual Christians and just were very challenged and didn't even want to participate in our mastermind because of Scientology and all the other words. But when you are really clear about who you are and whose you are, and again, this is just Ann McNeil talking. I don't know who said what about the challenges, but I just wanted to share my own experience. I am just so much more connected now by better able to understand that relationship here, which better helps me with relationships here. So I just wanted to share that as relates to faith. Okay, so I'll go back on mute.
So I want to share a quick thought and resource, and then I'm going to let Ann jump in, and then I'll let us kind of do our wrap up really quickly. So one of the things that happens with a lot of us is that we come into a group like this, or we get a book like Think and Grow Rich, and what stands out to us is not the think part, it's the rich part. And it stands out to us because we have a negative relationship with money. It scares us, right? And we put power, or we actually, not even positive power, we put negative power into the money thing, right? And so we have associated rich with being evil or being changed into something that is bad. And so we're scared. So when Ann's like, think about the money, think about the money, think about the money first, we're like, oh my gosh, I've been told my entire life that money's not so great. So we kind of talk about, oh, I just want to be comfortable and just pay my bills, right? But how else do you expect to be a great resource? How do you expect to be able to share and to change, to be a tool or an instrument for change? That takes money. So we have to figure out, okay, cool. This is the source of, this is the thing that I need in order to effect all the other stuff that I want to make happen, to build not only my dreams, but the dreams of others. All right. And so read the book, Think and Grow Rich, but there's another book that I want you to check out called The Soul of Money, and it's by a lady named Lynn Twist. Okay? And you were going to say something. I'm unmuting you.
Yes. Could you spell her last name, please? Lyn?
Lynne is her first name, and the last name is Twist, Twist.
And spell the title of the book again?
The title of the book is called The Soul of Money.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, The Soul of Money. So check that out, and it's going to cause you to think about your relationship with money very differently. All right?
Thank you.
Cool. So let's jump into some of the group reports here. Tell us a little bit about what went on in your group and any big takeaways that you guys had, any revelations that you had for today. So Susan says we need a Black NSA library page. Yeah, there's a lot of rich resources that we're getting in here. Good deal. All right. So why don't we start with David's group?
All right, the winners group. I am honored to have Doris, Simone, and Monica in our group. And we're so excited that all of us in this group, we've exceeded over 50% of moving the needle. And every week we're staying productive and making things happen. You've heard from Doris really starting from zero, and now she has a product that she is delivering. And Monica is a full resource woman. She brings the resources. And Simone is really making some things happen. She's making so many things happen. She even forgot that someone invited her to do a speaking engagement. So We're making things happen. We're excited. Even though we didn't have Ann this week, we're still gleaning from when she was with us last week. And so, hey, we're excited. We're making things happen.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. So I don't know if you guys are having the same Brady Bunch view as I am, but Susan, you're right next to David in my window. Go ahead.
I'm very lucky about that, by the way. I chose that neighborhood. So, the Globetrotting Growth Girls are also moving the needle. We had a large discussion around 6 cents and how much we really need to harness the 12 steps that come before this one and really begin to trust our own instinct. So when we choose to ignore it and wonder why things don't go the right way, is when we really need to look inward and say, okay, why am I not owning my instinct? And how can I really begin to tune into that radio station of my instinct and trust it, trust it, trust it? Yes. So that was a big part of our discussion.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Why don't we move down to Wendy GC, Gates Corbett.
Yeah, we are the 5 fabulous phenoms, and there were 3 of us today. And we had a really interesting conversation where some of us are making facing some major decisions and turning points. Some related to family and some related to business, and some related to both. And so we also had a great conversation about the sixth sense and the idea of a board of directors. I shared that from my own perspective, I've had kind of a board of directors, a virtual spiritual board of directors, before I read Think and Grow Rich, and how this is making me think about the idea that I can have a board of directors that includes people who are past, but also people who are alive. That's really opened up my recruiting pool for my board of directors. We all moved the needle in some way, shape, or form this week. So we continue to be phenomenal, fabulous, fiercely faithful women. We were sad that we did not get to see Ann today. We missed you, Ann. So
well, we got 2 more weeks, so maybe we might, edge her over there a little bit. We'll see. All right. All right. Come on, Officer Crane. Hook us up.
So it was amazing. Like I feel privileged to have the individuals in the group that we have. And so we are Team Stratosphere because we are always taking the leap. And AKA, Malone Billionaires, because put some respect on our money. And it really, we are always, like the connection is so strong. Like everybody is making such amazing progress. And the conversation that we had today where Ann was able to come and jump in. And as a matter of fact, there was a really unique experience that happened because as Ann was in her room there and having the conversation with us, there was somebody who was overhearing the conversation who brought in on a slip of paper the self-confidence formula. So, I mean, literally to be able to be having a conversation about something, this is to tell you how powerful your thoughts and connectedness is, to be having a conversation about something and somebody who is disconnected or not connected with this is right there on the same page, in the same sphere, in that same frequency. That tells you how powerful we are. And we had some amazing breakthrough. I mean, Ursula with her new wall that went up, her legacy wall. We had Chris who she came up with this $1 million idea. And so now it's about taking the steps to move forward. And even Tanya, who had a breakthrough in her perspective of seeing something as a difficult situation was actually really a blessing. Something that was maybe seen as a missed opportunity was actually just giving some clarity and alignment to what needed to happen in the time period that it happened. So it's just coming into this place of knowing everything is happening on time. Everything's happening by arrangement. And the more clear we are about what we want and just keep taking those daily steps, saying our daily affirmations, like putting together those pieces to the puzzle, it all falls in place right on time.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So, Ann, we're going to turn back over to you to direct us to our homework and what we need to do next.
Okay, I'm very excited. Like I said earlier, we're going to go into the very end. And for those who don't have the book, we can we'll get together offline with the epilogue to see how we can make sure you get that section. It is probably about 20 or 30 pages. We're talking about.
So the 6 Ghosts of Fear, that should be in every version of the book.
Yeah.
It may not be called the epilogue, but it is called the 6 Ghosts of Fear. But I mean, in every version that I have, like there's.
All right. Well, let's just make sure. Let's just make.
I have the 30 Ghosts of Fear.
A 6.
Yeah, I also do.
Do you have 30 ghosts or you have 6?
Wait a minute.
Whatever the Ghosts of Fear are.
Anyway.
I'm gonna have to get up by all. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just excited. What can I say? All right, so we gotta.
So is it the last chapter?
Yes.
So what mine says, the Devil's Workshop, the 7 basic fear, evil.
Okay, all right, so we're on the same page. So what we want to do is we want to read the 6 Ghosts of Fear, whatever it is that your book has. And what I would like to challenge each of us to do, there is a section, I'm not sure if you have a section that calls self-analysis test questions. Does everybody have that? Self-analysis test questions. It is at the end of the 6 ghosts. The last ghost of fear deals with the fear of death.
Yes, the self-analysis test questions.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, because we're preparing to wrap up, what I would encourage us to do This is kind of lengthy, but if you do the questions yourself before coming back next week, we can take the questions inside the group. And the idea would be to take the questions that you think you may need support and help on. Some of them you may do well, and some of them you might want to discuss. So that would be the homework for next week. It's a lot of information in here.
Yep.
Lots of information. Okay, but normally this is a short session. We normally have 12, and as you know, Robert, we normally don't get to the end of the book. We stop at 6 cents because of time. So we kind of fast forward, but and I would strongly encourage everybody, please register again to do this again.
Yep.
That's one. And if you have to take a bus, please come to Dallas. And even if you have to wait till you get there to register for a day, but please consider doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So we're wrapping up here, everybody. Just before we go, I want to do two things. Number one, I want to just remind you that today is the last day to register for a session with Ann. Okay. So today's the last day to do that. And as a part of that, Marquess, I believe last week offered some 30-minute sessions with her and myself also. So she's doing something called strategic positioning for the speakerpreneur. And my end is spice up your speech with Robert. All right. So we are going to be offering that. I believe a few of you have already connected with me. And so we're going to be putting the calendar for that together very shortly. Okay, so look to hear from me and Marquessa on that if you've already signed up. Go ahead, Ann.
Thomasina sent me a text, and she put it on the Facebook page. I just want to make sure that if any of you are interested in Spotify and the podcasting, please check out that, because I think today or tomorrow is the deadline on the podcasting. And this is something with Spotify if anybody's interested. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So let's do that.
Somebody just asked also, Mary just asked about how do you register with the sessions with Ann and you all.
Okay. That should be in the files area as well of the community. Let me just double check. A mastermind benefit private time with Ann. So if you go to the Facebook community for the $1 Million Mastermind and click on files in the left-hand side, there is a file that says a mastermind benefit private time with Ann.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
May I add something?
Sure.
I have a book that I just got called The Black Woman Millionaire. And I was told really, really good in terms of money. And so probably some of those things you were talking about earlier in regards to the book that you recommended, this might be similar.
Okay.
Black Woman Millionaire.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So everybody, let's smile, do the crazy face on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Got it. All right. Hey, thank you, Simone. I appreciate that. Holding up the book in front of her face. All right. Good deal. So listen, I just want to leave one last thought with you. The two most powerful words in the English language are I am, because anything that you put after that shapes your destiny. So make sure that whatever it is that you want to be this week, I am powerful, I am purposeful, I am confident, I am a winner, I am phenomenal, whatever it is. Start saying that out your mouth this week. All right?
Robert, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Robert,
I'm here.
How do we, Havila is doing a thing after this, right? Is it on the same channel?
Oh, I totally forgot about that. Okay. I totally forgot. So yeah, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's just do this. If you have to jump off, then you do. If you want to stay and hang out with Havila and myself, we'll hang out for a little bit and she'll share with you her rock star life. Then you can do that. Right now it's 7:02. Let's do this. If people want to take a break, let's take a 3-minute break and start up at 7:05. Does that work, Havila?
Awesome. Perfect.
Excellent. All right, guys. So I'm going to turn off the recording here and